There we go.
Aye. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen of the press. We are here as the leadership of the Informal Sector Workers Association. We are going to issue a press statement regarding the current controversial bills which have been signed into law. And before we read the press statement, we are going to do the introductions.
My name is Vincent from Kakamega.
I'm David from Siaya County.
My name is Joshua Otieno from Kitui County.
Frederick Onyango from Nandi County.
I'm Oliechata from Homa Bay County.
John Peter, coordinator.
My name is Jackson from Migori County.
I'm Robert from Kisumu County.
I'm Maina from Muranga.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Here is a press statement by the Informal Sector Workers Association of Kenya on the need to review the controversial clauses in the 8 new laws which were signed recently. The Informal Sector Workers Association of Kenya wishes to express deep concern over the recent signing of into law of 8 pieces of legislation. While we appreciate the government's commitment to modernizing our legal framework and promoting economic growth, we are equally alarmed that several clauses within these laws may have far-reaching negative effects on the rights, freedoms, and livelihoods of millions of Kenyans who earn their living through social media. The laws in question include the amendments to the Computer Misuse and Cybercrimes Act, National Land Commission Act, Land Act, National Police Service Commission Act, Privatization Act, Wildlife Act, Virtual Asset Service Providers Act, and the Air Passenger Service Charge Act. Although these laws address important areas such as technology, security, environment, and investment, they also contain controversial provisions that threaten the spirit of integrity of Kenya's 2010 Constitution, which guarantees freedom, equality, participation, and justice for all. The impact of these bills, of these laws on the informal sector and the digital economy. The informal sector is the heartbeat of Kenya's economy, from border riders and market traders to artisans, online freelancers, digital content creators, and small-scale manufacturers. Informal workers make up over 80% of Kenya's labor force. Our livelihoods depend on freedom of access, digital connectivity, and trust in public systems. The Computer Misuse and Cybercrimes Amendment Act gives the government officers sweeping powers to block or remove online content, sometimes without judicial oversight. For thousands of digital workers, including YouTubers, online vendors, fintech agents, and e-hailing drivers, this law poses a direct threat to income and creative freedom. If social media platforms, websites, or mobile apps can be taken down without a fair hearing, countless jobs in the digital space would disappear overnight. The Virtual Asset Service Providers Act, meant to regulate cryptocurrencies and digital finance, risk placing excessive licensing burdens on small traders and innovators. Instead of encouraging young entrepreneurs in the fintech and blockchain space, the new law may create a monopoly environment that favors large corporate players while locking out startups and freelancers who rely on virtual assets for global payments and remittances. Concerns over public assets, land, and governance. The Privatization Act now allows the executive branch to sell or transfer state-owned enterprises without parliamentary approval. This change removes essential checks that protects national assets from being sold secretly or at undervalued prices. Informal workers depend on many public utilities, from transport networks to local markets, that could be affected by such a privatizations. If these assets fall into private hands without accountability, service costs may rise, and informal traders could be disadvantaged in terms of increased costs of service delivery. Amendments to the National Land Commission Act and Land Act also weaken oversight mechanisms that protect community land and settlement rights. Informal workers, especially in urban settlements and rural trading centers, are highly vulnerable to eviction and displacement when land governance lacks transparency. We call upon Parliament to restore the independence of the National Land Commission and to strengthen safeguards for community and public land. Similarly, amendments to the National Police Service Commission Act that reduce oversight over the police recruitment and discipline would harm informal workers who already face frequent harassments and extortion. Strengthening accountability in policing is critical to protecting the rights of hustlers, traders, and transport operators who operate in open spaces and public areas. On socioeconomic diversity and national unity, Kenya's strength lies in its diversity, ethnic, regional, cultural, and occupational. Laws that are made or amended without broad consultation risk deepening division and eroding public trust. Many of these laws were passed without adequate public participation or Senate involvement, despite their direct impact on counties and local communities. For informal workers in rural and urban Kenya alike, this exclusion represents a growing distance between government and the people whose taxes and labor sustain our economy, balancing security, innovation, and freedom. ISWAC acknowledges that Kenya faces legitimate security threats from cybercrime to terrorism and economic fraud. However, true national security is built on public confidence, not excessive state control. Policies that undermine online platforms, weaken accountability, or centralize decision-making may serve short-term goals but endanger the long-term stability and inclusivity that Kenya's economy depends on. Kenya's informal sector workers are not enemies of regulation. We are partners in nation building. We support smart laws that protect consumers, promote transparency, and expand opportunity. But laws that silence voices, limit digital trade, or privatize national assets without scrutiny risk widening inequality and pushing more Kenyans into poverty. Our call to action. Number 1, comprehensive review. We call on the government and Parliament to initiate an urgent, inclusive review of all controversial clauses in the 8 new laws. Public participation. Number 2, we urge the government to open county-level hearings and digital consultations to ensure that ordinary workers, youth, women groups, among other groups, have a voice in shaping the legal reforms that affect their livelihoods. On digital rights protection, there is need to introduce clear judicial safeguards and independent oversight before any online content or platform is blocked, ensuring freedom of expression and the right to work are preserved. On transparent privatization, there is need to reinstate mandatory parliamentary approval for the sale or transfer of public enterprises and ensure all transactions are open to public scrutiny. On inclusive technological growth, there is need to promote digital innovation through fair licensing, affordable access, and support for micro enterprises and startups in the fintech and online economy. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, Kenya's 2010 Constitution promised every citizen freedom, dignity, and opportunity. Those promises cannot coexist with the laws that erode public participation, stifle innovation, or silence legitimate voices. The informal sector is not a burden on the economy, it is the economy. Our organization stands ready to work with the government institutions, legislatures, and civic partners to ensure that all new laws protect rather than punish the hardworking Kenyans who sustain our nation every day. We believe that a just, inclusive, and constitutionally aligned review of these 8 laws will strengthen our democracy, protect livelihoods, and build a Kenya where progress benefits all, not just a few. In addition to this press statement, we would like to state clearly that ISWAC acknowledges that these 8 disputed laws are currently the subject of active judicial proceedings. This statement does not in any way seek to comment on or influence those proceedings. Our position is limited to public policy, economic and social implications of the legislation for Kenya's informal sector and the wider public interest. Thank you.